This podcast is part of the Big Heads Media Podcast Network. Go to bigheadsmedia.com for more great podcasts.
Ladies and gentlemen, making their way to the microphones, it's Jack. It's Kenny. It's the Rock and Roll Up Podcast.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of the Rock and Roll Up Podcast. You okay there, buddy?
I feel like I'm looking out of a submarine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My eyes are perfectly at water level.
Yeah.
It's quite claustrophobic. I'm going to remove the bottle.
Yeah. Well, one thing's for sure, we'll be getting into deep waters in this episode.
Oh, we've started. Back of the net.
Welcome to a special episode of Megaphone Mondays. Hit that jingle, baby.
Just another Megaphone Monday.
What a jingle. What a jingle.
Jingle. I mean, come on now. The return of the jingles. We started last week with the monkey tennis. We're bringing it back with the Megaphone Mondays jingle. What is Megaphone Mondays? Well, we stand on our metaphorical soapbox and we...
Not a real soapbox. It's not real.
It is. It's not real. It's not a real soapbox. And we scream our controversial opinions, if you will, our hot takes, right into your ears. Let me just get them out of the oven. Oh, they're a bit hot.
Ooh.
Let them cool down.
Munch on them.
I want it.
Still too hot.
Oh, still too hot. Sometimes it won't ever cool down. That's the kind of guys we are. We're controversial. This week is pop culture, isn't it? It's pop culture because we're comedy pop culture. What can I say?
Yeah, we have covered this. We've done a Megaphone Mondays on gaming, on music, movies, television, and on wrestling. Back when we covered wrestling. Hot take. We don't cover wrestling anymore.
You did do a cheeky tweet about wrestling the other day.
A tiny tweet. I did a tiny cheeky tweet.
Yeah.
I tweeted away in the middle of the night for us in the UK because.
Yeah, but no one saw the tweet, but it was there. Actually, no. To be fair, it got some responses. So.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. So back off.
That's the irony.
Yeah.
Tweet about something we don't cover gets loads of input.
Yeah, so we've covered all those, so you can go back and listen to those episodes. But it's been a while. It's been a hot minute.
A return to a popular episode type, but we figured now we're rebranded. Pop culture umbrella. Plenty to talk about, plenty to discuss, and we're going to give you some controversial opinions. I believe Kenny Beveridge, you're going to kick things off today.
Yeah, so I'm going to go in with a pretty hot one.
Go on, blow on it. Thank you.
CGI hair that covers bums will be the downfall of society.
Okay. Thank you. End. Some people might be going, CGI hair that covers bums? What are you talking about, you madman?
It's a little twist, isn't it? I've twisted what is a discussion on the censorship of art and media. So,
very hot topic at the moment. We're living in the golden age of censorship, baby.
It's something of a hot potato, maybe that we shouldn't be touching. Oh, I've got it. I've passed it on.
Hit it. 10 points.
Give that to a different podcast, but we're going to go for it. So, people will be possibly aware, possibly not aware of the situation in the UK at the moment, where we've had a number of media outlets like the BBC, but in America they've also had HBO, Disney Plus have been either changing or taking down old media, TV, movies that are offensive to modern sensibilities.
Okay.
So the list is Fawlty Towers, classic British comedy. Don't mention the war episode. UK Gold.
Don't mention the episode.
Don't mention the episode. It's a good episode.
Great episode.
Really good. Little Britain taken off. Funnily,
Taken off for the use of blackface.
yeah. After, ironically, weeks ago, not that many weeks ago though, we talked about the that episode, the mini episode on BBC.
Yes.
The like charity stream.
Yes.
What was it called? The big
night in.
Yes, the big night in.
We reviewed on one of our isolation tapes.
And they had quite a controversial sketch in it, which was obviously okayed. And then
about race relations,
weeks later they've taken it all down.
Very sensitive.
League of Gentlemen, Mighty Boosh, both taken down. And then a weird one, Splash, the film Splash, the Tom Hanks film. They've covered up the bare bottom of Daryl Hannah with a weird kind of CGI pony hair. Have you seen?
Why would you cover up? Why would you cover up that bottom? That's what you're saying.
It's a downfall.
Initially, there's a lot of aspects to this. There's the racial aspect. There's the sort of sexualized aspect with regards to the bum.
Yeah.
So, talk to me. You're talking broad. You're talking censorship of media. What are your thoughts?
So, I think most people who listen to this podcast might be aware, we've talked about a bit of censorship before. We're big into especially censorship when it comes to comedy, things like Boosh. I think it's way more egregious to take down the Mighty Boosh than it is to cover up someone's bare bum. It is a film that's for kids. There's a bare lady's bum. I mean, I don't really care if you cover it up. But I do care if you go after the comedians.
Okay.
I think that's where it gets dangerous. I think the way that we approach and enjoy comedy is either everything is fair game or just nothing is fair game.
Well, that is comedy, isn't it? It is the ability to laugh at anything and everything. Nothing is off limits. Out of context, some things perhaps aren't funny. Out of context.
Oh yeah, your comedy has the right to be rubbish.
Yeah.
Because it's perhaps insensitive and therefore people don't find it funny. But it doesn't mean that you have to censor it. It has to be unsuccessful. But if it's that's the difference between the two is huge.
If let it fail. By all means, let it fail. But
exactly.
Give it the option to fail. So, okay. So what is the censorship in comedy shouldn't exist? Is that the bottom line?
I believe that every time we move the goalposts, we're losing part of our history and part of, especially in comedy where we've got to today, there are many, many comedians that have really pushed the boundaries with provocative material. I'm thinking, Richard Pryor. I'm thinking Bill Hicks, who used the N-word actually in one of his shows as a joke about police brutality, and used it in the sense of satirizing and arguing in favor and mocking how ridiculous this situation is, and in context is not offensive at all. For me, comedy has to be censorless and senseless.
To try and give it a framework or to try and smother it is to destroy the essence of comedy, which is to laugh about the human experience.
It is.
At the end of the day. I mean, that's what it is. And satire is a big one because satire has become, of course, it's always been politicized, but the very use of satire now is weaponized in a way that it never was. If you look at a George Carlin or someone like that, or Bill Hicks, he would be, considered like right wing or whatever.
Exactly, yeah.
But at the end of the day, you're just laughing about the state of the world, and that is really where it begins and ends for me. Anything can be funny. If you laugh, it's funny. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I saw. John Cleese. Did you see his tweets about Fawlty Towers?
Yes, yeah.
So he said something along the lines of, what you do with comedy is you either you make a character absurd so you can laugh at it, which means that obviously Basil Fawlty is an absurd character that can be laughed at.
Well, this is the difference, isn't it? There's so many layers to this. If it's a character that is being racist, like a David Brent, the idea is you're looking at the pathetic character, the idiocy of the character. If it's stand-up and someone's being racist, it's slightly more direct. But in a sense, there's still a character because they're still performing and they're still trying to convey something to make you laugh. It's just whether I think people have begun to stop being able to separate satire from sort of the truth. You know what I mean? If people satirize something, they think, well, that must be, you can't say that because that's, that must be what you think. And I think there's something's being lost there in the middle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And John Cleese also said in his tweets that, of course, there would be people who would react to what Basil was saying and say, oh, finally someone's saying it. Finally someone's... But the point is that we laugh at those people too because they're not getting it. They don't get it. They think it's... And really now, we've become those people because we're taking a satire seriously when we should be laughing at the satire, the satirist, as well as those who don't get the satire. That's the whole point of it.
So does this opinion still count when it comes to Little Britain playing black characters, for example?
Well,
is that now a no-go area because what we know about race, and we've come a long way in terms of equality and things like that, is that now a no-go area?
I don't know. I think it's very hard. It's very hard. Blackface is one that I have mixed feelings on. Part of me feels that playing a character is playing a character. Part of me feels... I was just discussing this with some friends whilst playing Call of Duty. We had an in-depth conversation on whether...
It's the perfect platform for deep philosophical discussion.
What more do you want? Yeah, very tough. I'm not sure how I feel about blackface.
It's difficult. It's difficult.
Again, as satire, which is what it always is. And if it isn't, then allow it to fail.
It's the difference between creating something to offend and creating something to shine a light on it, as an entity. Matt and David from Little Britain have said multiple times they regret doing it. However, they don't think it's not funny. You know what I mean? They know it's insensitive to do it, but at the same point, they mock Britain. They mock white people in Britain. They mock black people in Britain.
Well, I think that's the thing, isn't it? It's everything's fair or nothing's fair.
This is the thing. So it is difficult because of historic treatment of ethnic minorities. Does that mean it's now a no-go area? You could say the same for jokes about Jewish people.
Yeah,
you could say the same about apartheid. Where does it begin and end? Like you said, the goalposts keep moving. Yeah. I'm with you. It's either all or nothing. As long as it's done from a place of hate and it's done from a place of love. And look at this. Isn't the world stupid? Isn't it stupid that we're all here as human beings? And I think as soon as you try to police that and go, well, you can do that about them, but you can't do that about them, then you start to get into dangerous territory where, comedy has already been attacked enough. It sort of saps the life out of comedy when you have to restrict yourself, when you have to impose rules. I think it affects creativity. I
think it's when it comes to this type of censorship, especially, people will argue, oh, it's only a little bit of this, a little bit of that. It's only, we only need this. But again, it's every time you move those goalposts, it's like death by 1,000 cuts. it will, the censors will come back time and time again and demand more and more as time goes on. So I've got my 2 golden rules.
Kenny's 2 golden rules. Play the jingle. Golden rules.
Good one.
Rules.
I'll cut that. Add a little bit of jangly gold effects.
Oh, that would be lovely. Go on.
Yeah. So all art must have the right to offend, be controversial, make you feel uncomfortable, and be political in any way that it wants.
Mm-hmm.
And also, number 2, art must have the right to age badly and be unchanged in doing so, because it's our history, and by changing art, in a way, you're changing history.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you can choose to learn from things that are perhaps now seen through a different prism, through a different eye. To delete them, remove them from existence is to, is to rewrite history. And I think you need to learn from things. You don't need to erase things, no matter how evil they are, or indeed how funny they used to be.
Yeah.
I don't think you're in a good place where you start to erase things. Learn from them. Go, that used to be funny then. Times have changed. It might not be funny now. Don't watch it. Don't watch it if you don't like it. The little addition to this would be how you feel about comedians, writers, actors apologising about content that they did. Do you feel it's right to do so? The likes of Kevin Hart, for example, losing his position as host of the Oscars for comedy that he did when he was younger.
Yeah.
Recently, you've had Keith Lemon over here apologising for Bo Selector. Obviously, you've had Matt and Dave apologising. Should you apologise?
Well,
you think?
I think that apologising is probably very prudent when it comes to maintaining your career. So I think it's a clever thing to do. And I don't begrudge anybody for apologising. And I think deep down we all know that they see it as a necessity for their career to apologise. So I don't have a problem with it, because I see it as self-preservation, really, for them. I wouldn't. Cancel culture can only go so far.
Yeah. Is to apologise, is that to take blame?
I suppose so, but I like to feel as though I'm more of a pragmatist than anything else, and it is pragmatic to apologise because it means that you'll get bookings. That's it's sad. It's a sad place where you have to apologise for a joke. We've
seen it many times. I do admire people that don't apologise, the like of Frankie Boyles and people like that who have said, no, I think it's funny. If I think it's funny, I'm going to say it. As Oscar Wilde once said, all art is totally meaningless, totally pointless. So if you use that rule, none of it really matters, does it, ultimately? Yeah. Especially in comedy, when we just want to laugh. And I think you should be allowed to laugh at anything. I mean, there's other kind of censorship that's happening at the moment with regards to political censorship, and that's a whole other topic. But, censorship within movies, the whole covering up the bum thing, I mean, like...
So silly.
Considering how sexualised Disney is as an entity,
I know.
It seems a very strange thing to do. I'd imagine that was just one person's decision. You know what I mean?
Who's deciding these weird things?
I don't know. The question is, as many have said, is there an agenda behind it? Is it there to make us all create division, for us all to hate each other, for us all to fight with it amongst each other? Is it just people, the whole cancel culture and after Me Too and everything, are people jumping on the bandwagon and cancelling things because it looks good for them?
Yeah.
Are people generally more offended now than they have ever been? Is that because of media to start with that perpetuates that? There's so many layers to it.
Yeah, but, I would say there's the weaponization of social media has become so effective in changing really tangible things like stock prices and things like that. I mean, and subscriptions, that it's been weaponized well by a vocal minority who see an opportunity, like the BLM protests and the death of George Floyd and things like that, and they go, do you know what? We can grab a bit more. I do think it's opportunists who have a certain political ideology who they're just, they see an opportunity and they take it, and unfortunately they come back and more. But
well, like you said, comedy has the right to offend, and if you don't like it, you don't like it. But we're getting into dangerous territory where people are starting to rewrite history and starting to monitor themselves more than they ever have. And I think it will only do a disservice to comedy and art as a whole to start rewriting things and to start telling you, well, you can't say that word anymore. Well, you can't do this anymore. And eventually, although times change and they do, and that's fine.
Yeah.
I think 10, 20 years, yeah, of course. 10, 20 years time, it's going to be a strange one. Yeah.
So I've got some interesting quotes that I've gathered, three quotes, and then I'm going to pose a question to you at the end. So one is Henrik Heine, could be Heine. Why not? Censor that.
He covered it with some long hair.
Which is there where one burns books, one in the end burns men.
Oh, sexist. Carry
on. Just men, yeah. Me too. George Santayana says, those who do not remember the past are condemned to repeat it.
Great quote.
And so Winston Churchill says, an appeaser, this is brilliant, this quote. I mean, he was talk about a man who's controversial.
Talk about a racist piece of shit.
but that's how he's kind of portrayed now, but yet at the time, the kind of so integral to keeping Europe free. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. He was a bad man. He's a terrible man, but also a great man. It's people. Well,
he's human. He's human, isn't he? And at the time, he represented the values of the large proportion of Europe. You know what I mean? So,
an appeaser is one who feeds a crocodile, hoping it will eat him last.
Nice. By another man, Winston Churchill. Strange that you've chosen 3 quotes from men.
White men, mate. I'm not sure if they're all white actually, but they're certainly all men. So I've got a question for you. Okay.
Go on.
So talking of changing,
would I go back in time and kill Winston Churchill? Come on. This is the question I've always wanted.
You can answer that one after. That's a bonus. So taking that idea that changing history means that we won't learn the lessons of the past, could we live in a world where, say, the genocide committed by the Nazis is not allowed to be a subject of art and media, like Schindler's List, The Pianist, and that therefore could lead to us seeing the rise of a similar power in the future? Do we go so far in erasing the past that we could end up in World War? Is that something that could happen?
I think we could end up in civil war, which I think is already starting to happen. I mean, people are fighting each other over everything, mate. You're pro-Leave, you're pro-Remain, you're pro-Black, you're anti-Black. Everyone's fighting everyone for whatever. If you like a certain thing, if you don't like a certain thing, I think that we're at a real crossroads. We're at a real fork in the road where people, artists, and human beings need to start taking some power back and acknowledging that we are in control. That we are in control of what we want to do. And will comedy be the straw that breaks the camel's back? Probably not. But I think once art is censored, they're fools, man, and women.
And those that don't identify as either.
Yeah, art is love, and love is life. Peace out.
I think we live in an age where we seem to assume that because we know of things, it's fine to scrub them from history. But if we take that and extrapolate it to 100 years' time, if it's deemed that World War II or Nazism or the ideology of Stalin or is too controversial to teach, then there's children going to be born without that knowledge that nationalism and fear-mongering can lead to the legitimate electing of a dangerous power, which can then...
The trouble is when you start to say something's out of bounds, you go and reach for it. Don't press the red button. Don't press the red button. I've pressed the red button. If you start to say you can't talk about fascism, it's illegal. Well, that's fascist. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that you like you said, you've repeated history in a nutshell. You just reframed it.
You mentioned George Carlin earlier, and I thought of a quote, and it's just come back from what you've said, which is something along the lines of censorship is fascism pretending to be bad manners or something. Pretending to be good manners or something like that. It's very good, very good. But yes, so if you wish to look more into this, then I would recommend to anyone listening or watching Why the Past Matters, video uploaded very recently from one of our favourite YouTube channels, The Critical Drinker, which I was thinking of this Megaphone Mondays, and I had 2 points. Did I want to cover this? And his video spurred me on to bring this onto our pod. So
it's a very, very complex issue that we've tried to condense into 20 minutes, but I think we've given it a good go. Go.
But yeah, check that out. It's very, very eloquent video, very interesting, he's great anyway. So
it's very good, very, very, very funny, very concise, very intelligent, and good communicator. Speaks for a lot of people. That says what a lot of people are afraid to say, I think, about art and the direction that art's going. So,
yes, so there we go. That's my first point.
Don't censor comedy. Thank you.
I think it was about CGI bums, actually, but all right.
I must have missed a point there. Sorry.
Just want to see all of the bottoms, please.
I want a rack of bottoms in front of me.
A rack of bottoms.
Rack of bottoms.
Great ass. She got a great ass.
Okay. Can't say ass. Can't say ass anymore.
She got a great
behind.
Rectum.
Rump. Sorry?
It's mainly the rectum that I'm interested in.
No.
I really like the Mark Rebier. It does those songs about girls' asses, but then talks about the actual bum hole. Girl, look at that bum hole. God damn, you got a butthole.
Yeah, it's powerful, romantic. It's a bit sexual.
Very, very romantic.
A little bit dirty as well.
Yeah, smells like poop.
Cover it up. Bit of hair.
Yeah, it's like a cat's bum when it comes onto your chest and turns around. Don't want that.
Like a pencil sharpener. Touched a cat's bum hole once by accident.
Oh,
and
how?
It was when I was very young. I was stroking my nan's cat, and I hope it was the nan's bum hole. I hope it was the cat's bum hole.
Your nan's bum hole.
Yeah. Whoopsie. And
what's that?
Yeah. Don't touch that. Don't touch that. They said.
Don't touch that. How did the cat react?
He said, "Don't touch that," and his little hat fell off. He was very unhappy. He wore a top hat. He was the cat in the hat.
Was he?
Yeah. Shall I start off then with me first point?
What's your controversial opinion?
We're on 24 minutes, so might have to sort this one out. Rotten Tomatoes, the website.com, I presume, rubbish. Rotten Tomatoes is flawed as a concept. That's my point. Why is it that Rotten Tomatoes is the go-to film review rating site? Whose decision was that? Who went, you know what, that's the one. They've got the monopoly. They're on posters. They're on film trailers. Oh, Rotten Tomatoes says 90%. Fans love it. What? What's this website, right? Let me give you some facts, first of all.
Okay.
They were launched 1998. Didn't know that.
Didn't know that.
3 undergrads in their bedroom. the amount of companies this thing's been passed to, right? Sold to IGN, then Fox, then Flickster,
Sold to
then
IGN?
Warner Brothers,
Right.
yeah, then Warner Brothers and Comcast, so they both own a stake in it.
Right.
So they're in the pocket of the telecommunications companies immediately.
So say
they're
that
like-
again. So Warner owned them at one point.
And Warner still own a stake, and Comcast own them.
Wow,
Yeah.
didn't know that.
They're right in the pocket immediately.
That's not good. Immediately, that's like alarm bells straight away.
Conflict of interest? You decide. 26 million monthly visits make them a top 1,000 site in the world.
That's amazing.
This is how popular they are. I know what you think. Second to that, I think, is our website, which doesn't exist yet. But you know,
the domain's there. Well,
the domain's there.
For
2
us.
years
for us.
.com. How does it work? We all know what Rotten Tomatoes is. It takes the opinions of realistically about 3,000 major critics, the approved critics, who have to meet a set of criteria. So not every critic reviews every film. So realistically, any given score's probably only a few hundred critics, that have actually compiled the critical score. So basically, the professional critics have to publish reviews to be sort of accredited. They need to have published a few reviews a year. Then they also have top critics, which are like newspaper film critics and things like that.
They've got the little star.
Yeah. And then they have the regular Joe off the street, who can just kind of submit what they want. So basically, as the reviews accumulate, the score measures the percentage of, the most positive reviews. It's how many positive reviews there are for a film. So over 60% means they're fresh, so they're good. Scores of below 59% means they're rotten, which is there's sort of a 1% difference between a great film and a bad film, which is a strange sort of aggregate system to start with.
Yeah.
There's some great reviewers. They're from like writing guilds, like writing associations. Some really big, famous film reviewers are on there.
Yeah.
And then you kind of have your regular folk. It calculates the percentage of positive reviews. That's what it does. So me worry with it is not only is there a conflict of interest, but there's what does the critical score really mean? I mean, it represents the percentage of critics who felt mildly to positively about a film. Like I saw a great article someone wrote who's a professional reviewer. I can't remember his name, but he said basically theoretically 100% Rotten Tomatoes rating could be made up of entirely middling to positive reviews.
Yeah.
And if half of the critics only sort of like it and the other half dislike it, then the film will hover around 50%, which is considered rotten. So it's a very strange. It doesn't quite make sense to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like who can please the most people mildly will get a better score than one that is provocative and pleases these people lots and these people not at all.
Yeah. So it's just a little bit muddy, So you start to look into it. And you think, all right, maybe it's not that good. It's not that realistic. The audience score, anyone can contribute. Although I believe now you have to prove that you've seen the film through like an app or something to actually contribute.
Okay. All right.
I think it used to be that you could anyone could, a concerted effort could drive down a film. That's what they say happened about the all-female reboot of Ghostbusters. That everyone didn't see it and they panned it before, although that film was shit. But they panned it before, and
it happens that does happen all over the place. Steam happens all the time. All the Modern Warfares. Battlefront 2 got destroyed with people that weren't even playing it.
Yeah. What do they call it? Review bombing, I think they call it.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So there has been a concerted effort from people to drag films down, which we'll talk about in a minute. But the bottom line point really is Rotten Tomatoes is accuracy is called into question because there's so much leeway. The actual system doesn't really make sense. The critics, some of them are paid to review a certain way. Everybody's personal rating system is different. You might give a 2.5 out of 5, but you think that's an average score. Whereas someone might say anything below 4 is below average. So then they submit that to Rotten Tomatoes, who have their own way of doing it, and it's a very strange kind of muddy water, basically. Not to mention there are agendas in play, i.e. censorship that we've talked about, which means if you do not review a certain way, you might be blacklisted.
Don't say that word.
Don't say that.
Whitelisted.
Whitelisted. Don't say that.
Don't say it. Sorry, no. Say the other one. Don't say that one.
Yeah.
Not
all
listed. All listed.
All listed. Don't say that.
Everyone.
Rotten Tomatoes, I've hit you with a lot of information, but Rotten Tomatoes, bottom line, it undermines the movie industry. Look at Baywatch, The Mummy, Dead Man's Chest, all open to much lower box office figures because Rotten Tomatoes reviews absolutely bomb them. The argument could be made that those movies suck, make better movies, but, people are making snap judgments and decisions after seeing percentages, not even the review. Often you don't even read the actual reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. You look at the percentages, and then when you realise what's made up the percentages, you think, it's a mess. I mean, Hollywood studios have come to see Rotten Tomatoes as a threat to their marketing. There's actually a study by 20th Century Fox that's stated that basically it's going to create a lot of competition in the film industry, Rotten Tomatoes, because as I quote, many millennials and even Gen Xers now vet every purchase through the internet. As they get older and comprise an even larger share of total moviegoers, this behaviour is unlikely to change. So it's the introduction of technology has begun to sway moviegoers. Lots of studios are commissioned to studies on it. They found 7 out of 10 people said they'd be less interested in seeing a film if the Rotten Tomatoes score was between 0 to 25, which obviously is a low score. If you Google films, often Rotten Tomatoes comes up before the film website, before the production company.
Oh, yeah.
They've got absolute monopoly, which means they can absolutely tank a film. Some studios have embargoed or cancelled screenings. If you remember the Emoji Movie, they embargoed the critic reviews, so no one could rate it before it came out because they were so worried it would bomb. Do you remember? And of course, it ended up with a 9% rating, which is terrible, but it's still open to 24 million because they embargoed the reviews. You see what I mean? So that's just an example of how Rotten Tomatoes could have tanked a film, which, as good or bad as it was, hundreds of people worked on it and to do their livelihood at the end of the day. So that was just one example of a film that said, actually, no, we're not going to let you review this yet. And in the end, they left with a profit, even though subsequently the movie, according to Rotten Tomatoes, is an awful movie. So they did the same with Rise of Skywalker, Captain Marvel. They stopped reviews before that because they were worried men would dictate the review, basically. A lot of complaints about them over the years from the industry. Brett Ratner, director, said it reduces hundreds of reviews into a popularised aggregate score and feels it's the worst thing that's happened in today's movie culture. Just an example. Max Landis, who directed Victor Frankenstein, said the site breaks down enough reviews into just the word yes or no, making criticism binary in a destructive, arbitrary way.
So is it a reaction to our time and the demand on our time that media has? There's so many films, there's so many services. Is it people want bite-sized? What's the alternative, do you think?
Well, this is what we've said. It's immediacy. People want to know immediately in their lap within 2 seconds if what they're going to do is the right decision. They're looking for pointers. They're looking for people to say, yes, you should watch this. Yes, you shouldn't watch this. Technology is entirely to blame. You can't delete the site. The site exists. The site's its own entity. The site is now in bed with other, with film studios, which, by the way, will embargo certain reviews. Warner Brothers, for example, will make sure that Rotten Tomatoes scores remain pretty good. So there's a lot of conflict of interest. What's the alternative? Well, I don't know, because you're within your free right to complain, to criticise, to score things. Could they change their scoring system? I mean, at the end of the day, people will say, well, it's only one website, but the fact is it isn't, because it's ingrained in the fabric of the movie industry. Martin Scorsese, if you remember, he came out, wrote in the Hollywood Reporter saying, said that they perpetuate the myth that films have to be instantly liked to be successful, which isn't true. And that is just representative of where we are. Things have to be, we said it about music a number of times, with streaming. It has to be at my fingertips. And if it isn't, that means it's not good. What does everyone else say? Oh, it hasn't got a good score, I won't watch it. They're just these snap decisions. How can you stop it? I don't think you can stop it, because it's the nature of the industry, mate. This is the trouble.
So what do you do? What's your? I know what I do. I do use Rotten Tomatoes, but I use it in combination with a couple of other things.
Dependent on the movie, I don't use it at all. Very occasionally, I will Google the movie just to see what respected writers think of it.
Yeah.
And I will peruse a Rotten Tomatoes score because it's in your face. And never look at the critical score. Always look at the audience reaction to it.
Yeah,
which is often a lot bigger than the critical score.
My number one tip that I use personally, well, I've got two tips for anyone looking to improve their kind of picks of movies. One is taking the audience score, especially if there's been lots of votes on it. Although you have to take into account that what we were saying earlier, there's a lot of trolls on the internet, so they will take a film that is controversial, possibly, and downvote it. Possibly a film like Ghostbusters, the female reboot, possibly the Charlie's Angels reboot. This kind of identity, sort of politics becoming enraveled within films and media. But I do look at normally the two, critics and audience. The other one is to find people online, of which there are many, reviewing films. Find the trusted voices and go to them. And if it's got an 85 on Rotten Tomatoes, but you go to someone like Jeremy Jans, who I personally use him as one of my barometers for a film. If he says it's rubbish, but it's got an 85, I'm thinking, oh, what's going on here? And I might look into it more.
There's some disparity. This is the thing. I mean, yeah, the bottom line is the critical score is made up of paid reviews, agendas, whatever. So it's not necessarily realistic. The audience score is normally slightly more down to earth, but still has a lot of that. So it's really hard to find a balance there. They undermine the film industry. You know, some examples of maybe good films rated too low on Rotten Tomatoes.
Go on.
Jumanji, 54 critic score, 62 audience score.
The original.
Original.
Wow.
That's just above average for an audience score. I'm thinking, but
that seems very, very low.
That's very low. Other examples: Step Brothers comedy, only on 55. Hook, 27% critical score. Hocus Pocus, 34% critical score. The list includes Top Gun, Die Hard, Space Jam, Blade, Ace Ventura. The Passion of the Christ has 49%, for fuck's sake. The review for it says, will leave people emotionally drained. I thought, yeah, it's about Jesus dying. It probably will. That's below. The Passion of the Christ is according to Rotten Tomatoes, a rotten movie. You see what I mean? By the same degree, examples of films rated too highly, in my opinion, of course it's subjective, but I think, people say their opinions are objective or subjective, but then they look at Rotten Tomatoes and they've been directed, you know what I mean? Jurassic World, 70%, 78%. It was okay, it wasn't that much.
It was all right.
What I do like is the Santa Claus rates higher than Jurassic World, which made me laugh, because I love the Santa Claus.
Yeah. Star
Trek Into Darkness, 84% critical score, 89% audience score. Star Trek Into Darkness, no.
It was fine.
Pinocchio is on 100% for a classic Disney film. Pinocchio is not a perfect film.
See, this is the thing that annoys me, especially with Rotten Tomatoes, is that films that are older have very, very high scores, but have only got like 13 reviews.
Exactly.
Like, so I think. Go on.
Go on. You go.
Something like, I think Citizen Kane I looked up once, and it's got like 15 reviews or something.
It's not 100. It's 100%. A bit snobbery, isn't it? This is another thing, is that there's snobbery with old film. If Citizen Kane had been reviewed today, that would have tanked. I know you say all the times have changed, but, people are doing reflective reviews and going, oh, well, of course, it's a classic film in filmmaking. And you go, well, yeah. Citizen Kane is not a 100 movie. It's not. A Quiet Place, a film you detested, 95%.
It was
Black
not good.
Panther. Black Panther, 97%. Black Panther's not a 97th movie.
Yeah, the thing that I like about other people, so someone on music, say, who I respect the opinion of, would be someone like Anthony Fantano, who I take with a pinch of salt sometimes because he's quite snobbish on music, but I do go to him for some opinions.
Yeah.
But what I like about him in particular is he takes a 0 to 10 score very similar to how I do, where a 10 is like perfection and therefore is barely ever given out. And actually a 6.5, like someone will say to me, I'll be chatting to someone, oh, did you watch that film? What would you give it out of 10? Yeah, like a 6.5. Oh, that's harsh. Well, I don't know.
It's above average.
6.5 is like, yeah, I enjoyed it. It was good. It was just good. But a 7 out of 10 is a pretty bloody good score.
This is the.
But some people would think it was like, oh, it ain't that good then. Well, no, it's good. It's definitely good. It's just not.
How many films are 10 out of 10? Almost no film.
No.
That's why when you see a 10 out of 10 film, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is just one of many examples of the mess that Rotten Tomatoes gets you into. And it also is the reviews underneath. They do a sort of an overall review under the name.
Yeah.
And then you can see the singular reviews. Reviews include things like, those that like Adam Sandler will laugh, but for those that don't, they'll turn off. That's not a review. Hell yeah, you fucking idiot. If you don't like Adam Sandler, you're not going to like the film. It's not a review, is it? It's just like, how has that even been? Imagine putting that in the paper. I don't like Adam Sandler, so I don't like it. But if you like him, you like it.
If you like him, you like him.
Yeah, if that goalkeeper hadn't saved the ball, that'd have gone in.
Well,
yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me. So bottom line, overall, it undermines the industry. It sways people because they're so quick to judge, and it puts people off movies. With some of the agendas in play and the conflict of interest, I'm not necessarily trusting of the critical ratings. When people bomb the audience score up until last year, at least, until they kind of worked out ways to stop that, it might sway things too negatively or too positively anyway. In the end, again, it's been politicised. It's been weaponised. A movie review site, for God's sake. Yeah. It's on posters. It's on bus stops. It's on everything. I've got to check before I watch the movie. Whoa. No, you don't. If you want to watch the movie, don't watch the trailer, because Kenny hates watching trailers.
Don't watch the trailer.
Watch the trailer. Don't look at the Rotten Tomatoes. Go to an independent reviewer, whatever, some of which do use Rotten Tomatoes, but they get buried in the mix, Yeah. Or just watch it like you people used to do. You'd go and watch a movie because you go, great, let's go and watch a movie tonight, darling. You know what I mean? Now you're vetting it.
Don't say darling.
Don't say darling.
Don't say darling.
All right. Well, I was talking to you, so that's fine.
Oh, okay, all right. You can call me darling, but only because I allow it.
Basil? It's just, I just don't like it. I just don't like it.
I agree mostly.
Yeah.
I think that it's an issue with the amount of films, and something I'll come on to later, which is there's a lot of shit films.
Mm-hmm.
And Hollywood's been making some money off of some shit for a long time. But I do agree that, especially with the idea that a 59 is somehow bad and a 60 is somehow good. That just
this is the point. It's a flawed system that people are too reliant upon. And for the benefit of the listener, I've written a short spoken word detailing my gripes.
Okay, all right, go on.
Before we move on,
I'll just get a drink.
You get a drink, mate. Settle down. Just it's probably, I'd say, 50 to 60 minutes. So settle in. It's a lecture.
Okay. Shall I do some sort of experimental jazz? Can you do it as a beat palm poem or?
Do.
I'll do those dynamics in jazz where it's like.
And then every now and then you just hear a snare. What's that? The drummer's gone mental.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great jazz drummer.
Just sounds like you've got jazz and you've just like, it's really quiet. And they're
the spirit of jazz. Don't mention that.
Don't mention that.
Here we go. Rotten Tomatoes. Or is it tomatoes? No matter. I hate yous. Rotten Tomato. Boo hiss. You ain't rating movies, you're raping movies, making them a martyr. Rotten has gotten the best of me. I've skipped the stuff the rest of me wants to see. Now I'm thinking it's going to be tosh. I'm a wash. Gosh, what shall I watch? I check my watch. Do I have time to decide? Shall I let this one slide? It's got 30%, man. I want to hide. It's so snidey and slimy and grimy. Look, that guy liked it. Maybe I'll like it. If he liked it, I'll try it. The guy below said it's full of too much white shit. Maybe I'll swipe it. Why can't I view what I want to view, do what I want to do, not sieve my thoughts for the benefit of who? You? Who has different taste to me? They get paid, you see, to slander or promote, to sink or build the boat. It's not normal folks who vote. Well, there's some sinners, some nuns. There's blasphemers and dreamers and schemers with agendas, taking down films which mention the word benders, attacking product placement when there's too many fenders, afraid to be truthful because of satanic directors. Will never work again unless you say 5 stars, tell a friendo. Tomato. How do I know who to trust though? Audience score, professional bores. There's meters and leakers and films trying to beat you over the head to impress you, to undress you. Look, we're beloved. People are in love. It says it on the website, see? How groovy, see? Put it on the poster. People love a boaster. Well, there goes the toaster. Full English with tomatoes. Rotten? No, sir. Certified fresh. I decide what I want in my mouth and my eyes. So let's skip this film, it looks rubbish. Thank you. Let's move on.
I will be, I think, in post-production adding some sort of light jazz to it.
Good. I would hope so.
That's the first time I've heard that, and it's powerful stuff.
I think so. I think it expresses everything.
Full English. Rotten. No, sir. I think that'll probably be part of the live show once it's up and going.
That would be nice, wouldn't it? A bit of spoken word.
Well, that was lovely. That was lovely.
Thank you, mate. I thought I'd end with a bit of high art, which is obviously going to be banned soon, going to be censored. So get it out while you can, folks.
Get it out. Get it out. I better get out my second.
You better get it out. Get it out the gate, mate.
Highly controversial opinion. This is a controversial opinion. I feel like my first one maybe wasn't that controversial. Your second one was quite controversial. This one is fairly controversial.
Mm-hmm.
Netflix documentaries are salacious, coercive, and rubbish.
Coercive. Go on.
Okay. Netflix. 167 million subscribers worldwide.
Is this your spoken word? You're doing spoken word on it?
Don't hide. Beside me. Beside the tree. Don't hide. Goodbye.
Thank you. And peace out.
They're worth somewhere around 191 billion. I've just got a little something prepared here. What some European countries that Netflix is worth more than?
Wow.
The GDP of Slovenia, Belarus, Ukraine. Netflix is worth more than those countries. Now you think, okay, Slovenia, Belarus, maybe they're not that rich. I mean, their entire country's full of people. Yeah. Netflix will soon overtake Finland, Portugal. Netflix, at some point in the next couple of years, will be worth more than Portugal as a country. Czech Republic, Romania, and Greece as well. Coming close to their GDP value, but places like Ukraine worth more than the whole of Ukraine. Unbelievable.
Wow.
Also, so it's very big. Obviously, most people have got it, or at least got access to it. I wanted to show them some love first. There's lots of Netflix originals that I love. Narcos Mexico, I love. Mindhunter, Master of None and Glow, Love, House of Cards. I've just been watching Dark, which is fantastic. Oh,
I told you that was going to happen today. Virus definitions update every time, baby.
Your Netflix notification. Tune in.
Yeah, they've been listening.
Are you still watching?
Please watch.
I've just been finishing watching Dark, which the third series is out on the 27th, which is great.
I tried to watch Dark, but couldn't see anything.
Very good. I tried to watch Glow, but couldn't see anything.
Hey?
Hey?
It's a comedy pop culture podcast.
The Last Dance as well has been great recently. So I like Netflix. You know, they've made some fantastic films.
I was a late bloomer to Netflix. I didn't have it for a long time, but maybe even in the last 2 years is only really when I've started dedicating some time to Netflix.
I've been on and off. I had it quite early, then I had some time off. It really depends on who's got it and whether I've got their login information is the main thing.
Yeah, you've never had it yourself.
I've not paid for it for very much, let's be honest.
Yeah.
But my problem with Netflix is Netflix original documentaries. Now, I'm sure there are some that are fantastic, but I've got two examples here that I want to talk about, two of the biggest examples. And the way that they are made, the way that they are presented, the way that information is given over is sometimes incredibly misleading. So I'm going to talk about two. The first one I'm going to talk about is Making a Murderer.
Mm-hmm.
So what is presented by the show? So a totally innocent guy, Stephen Avery, goes to prison for a rape he didn't commit. He was released, so that is on a fact on record that he didn't commit that rape. He serves 18 years and is released. He's then accused of murder after police corruption, evidence planting, and a flawed trial, and is currently in prison for a murder that allegedly was pinned on him by a police force that didn't like him in the local county. Okay? That's the narrative made from the documentary. Now,
that's a comedy series.
It's very, very funny. Rotten Tomatoes, 10 out of 10.
You can't censor that shit. It's good shit.
It's good shit, god damn it.
Shit, damn it.
Now, I'm not here to say that Avery is innocent or guilty. I have no feelings on it whatsoever. It's an interesting take.
Here tonight. Come on.
I've got no history on it.
Oh, this is Stephen Overy. That's the wrong one. Sorry.
Can you just not say ovaries, just because some may not have
Some people don't have them. Some people do.
Some girls are bigger than others.
Girls? Don't say that.
Don't say bigger. That's a weird song that is as well.
Yeah, that is a weird song.
Yeah. Anyway, so he is portrayed as this very innocent guy for the purposes of the documentary. Now, I don't want to, go too hard on Avery.
I don't want to shit on his salad, but
I just want to point out a couple of things that were in the documentary, were not in the documentary that have been reported afterwards. So in portraying this guy as an innocent party, he was jailed for burglary in 1981, animal cruelty, endangering safety and possession of a firearm in 1985. He sent loads of letters whilst in prison saying that he was going to rape and kill women. He then loses the ability to see his children in 1993 because he's a danger to society, according to the court, and has a domestic violence call against him in 2004. Things that were left out about the crime. So this is a young lady who was killed, went missing, and the portrayal is that he's not involved. So there was DNA evidence found on the key of her car. There was also sweat found in her car, which can't be planted. Like people claim that the blood was planted. Mm-hmm. He made 2 calls withholding his number to Hallback, the lady who was killed. And of all the calls made that day, he withheld his number. There's the only ones that he withheld his number on. He asked for her by name. there's loads. A documentary, for example, in the narrative that they say that the key that was found on the 5th search of his property, and therefore was planted. However, the 5 searches of the property that are counted in the documentary as searches involve the removal of firearms, the retrieval of a computer serial number, are counted as 5 searches. So actually, in reality, it was the 2nd search that found the key. Also, her phone, clothes were found in the barrel that was burnt on the property. I'm not saying he's guilty. I'm saying that Netflix, the creators of this documentary, changed the narrative to suit the story that Stephen Avery was innocent.
Yeah, it was very selective. Why would they do that? They have an agenda?
Well, I think it's about creating a good story.
Better for the show.
And it's not as clear-cut as presented, and I think people have to view these true crime documentaries as narratives. I think in the research for doing this point, I looked into ideas, the idea that a filmmaker could arrive on site and a story could not be quite as juicy as they thought, and then it's juiced up for the story and created a narrative. So whether he's innocent or not is completely up to question, but those are a number of fairly damning pieces of evidence that were completely left out of the documentary. And I mean, this is a long documentary, it's 10 episodes. All of that information was left out over 10 episodes to create a narrative. So that's making a murderer.
So that's one example. Is that a singular example?
Just one example. So there's also Tiger King. Now, my feelings on Tiger King, I'm not a fan. I thought it was trash, TV, reality rubbish. However,
I agree.
What was presented, so again, what's presented? So an entertaining and eccentric kind of maverick who owns loads of tigers, employs a ramshackle of misfits, and is unfairly harassed and goaded by a hippie, PETA-supporting woman who killed her husband.
Sorry, is this monkey tennis?
So that's the idea, is that he's this kind of maverick, kind of crazy guy.
I'm just a crazy druggy guy with 3 husbands who kill tigers. Come on.
I'm just this kind of really likable guy. And Carol Baskin, she's the bloody enemy of the people. So since this documentary has come out, editors have cut various racist rants and slurs that Joe Exotic said during the filming to make him appear more likable. His animal abuse history was completely left out. There's a history of him shooting horses, emus, constant abuse at the zoo. His testimony, the thing that I really find annoying about Netflix documentaries is that the testimony is completely unquestioned of the person who is being interviewed and presented as fact. So, for example, Joe Exotic, at the end of the documentary, said that he killed 5 tigers due to ill health. However, in an after-party episode, because they did that like 11th episode, it was revealed that he killed them because of a lack of space. So again, it's this portrayal as him being a likable guy who's not a racist, who doesn't abuse animals. All these things were left on the cutting room floor. So you oppose this to Carol Baskin, who's presented as this kind of egotistical hippie, easily unlikable PETA person who killed her husband. She's also portrayed as a gold digger throughout the show because she married Don, her husband, who she supposedly killed, for his money. Not true. In fact, they made their money together after they got together in property. Things like he was involved in the Costa Rican mafia. Just left completely out. The evidence of her killing her husband is minimal, but the evidence of everyone being abusive to animals is pretty clear, yet the narrative...
I didn't know Costa Rica had a mafia.
It has a mafia. And her...
That's just 2 people in a hut.
her husband was involved in some sort of money lending scheme with the Costa Rican mafia. So there were people who potentially, not saying that mafias are always guilty of
I mean, don't speak out about the mafia.
don't want to speak about the mafia.
Good guys. I like what you're doing. Good guys.
But there's somewhat a historical precedent for them, disappearing people. But the show wants you to think Carol killed her husband. So that's the truth. That's the narrative that's presented. It's the contradictions I find are left out in place of a good narrative. The show is ultimately about a sad, weird cult of people that are drug addicted, suffering from mental illness, alcoholism, poverty, and it's ultimately bullshit.
Yeah, it's just empty, isn't it? Vacuous, empty television. So the thing that annoys you the most is the selective process, the narrative building, that it becomes more of a fictional story than it does a true grounded documentary.
If it was presented fictionally, it would be completely fine.
It's the fact that they say this is the truth.
These shows are presented as a exploration into a crime or a research, or lifting the lid on the Stephen Avery being framed for this murder. Perhaps he was framed, but there were plenty of things that were left out to suit that narrative.
But they do a discredit to the case because of their lack of combing over every inch of the evidence and including it.
Well, it's very entertaining to have Joe Exotic as this good guy and Carol Baskin as this kind of woman, Peter. They're unpopular anyway. Let's make her into this kind of unlikable hippie, and then create this narrative that she killed her husband. An editing tricks and things like this. One example that I saw, which was just unbelievable. So at one point, they talk about how Carol had a meat grinder in her kitchen, and it was one of these small meat grinders that would be on the side that you could, cook with. Whilst they're talking about that, they cut to this industrial meat grinder that you would have in like a plant, for which you could fit a body into. Now, whilst they're talking about this small meat grinder, they're showing you this huge thing that could be used to get rid of a body. They're not saying that she did it, and the words say that this tiny thing, but it's the visual trick of showing you. And it's this narrative of, that she killed her husband it's just whether it's true again, whether it's true or not is up for debate. But the trickery used is, misleading at best.
So is that indicative of all of their original documentary series?
I'm sure it's not. I'm sure there are good Netflix documentaries, originals especially.
Well, there's some dispute to be had here between, are these Netflix documentaries that are distributed by or produced by Netflix? That's the difference.
Again, up for debate. Well, not up for debate. Not sure.
Because they purchase a lot from other people, but they also have their own studio. Obviously,
I know that Making a Murderer they did 10 years worth of looking into that for the first series, and then the second series was kind of the outcome.
Yeah.
But you've got to wonder, Netflix they need it to be entertaining. So how much input are they having? What the vested interest for them to make this a case of which has all twists and turns and craziness, and this person is innocent, and is that they have a large stake in that being the case. So are they pushing that agenda upon the filmmaker?
But yeah, they probably are. I mean, they probably are, and I'm sure all the timelines are completely wrong as well.
Yes.
The editing suite, the editing booth will do a lot for these series as well to make sure they come across in the best way possible, or the
Yeah.
more twists and turns. They'll move things to different episodes to make it seem like they happened at different times. It's common knowledge in filmmaking and documentary making, but when presented as complete fact and it isn't, you do lose faith a little bit in, well, what is real then? What is real?
I think it's it's a slippery slope to have something where, and terrible for someone like, Carol Baskin's very unlikable in the show, and possibly very unlikable in real life. But everyone's got, it could be quite damaging for her as a person to have, she's still got to live, and now everyone thinks she killed her husband through sort of because Netflix decided that was a good narrative.
She's had to shut down a giant meat grinder company. So that's
yeah, and her leather belt shop
that's gone.
Yeah. It's just.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the manipulation is, I'm getting sick and tired of thinking things are real and then finding out there's an ulterior motive. It's really tiring. The one thing I will say is there are plenty of interesting documentaries on there nonetheless. My favourite, one of my favourite documentaries of all time, which is a Netflix documentary, is The Keepers, about the murder of Kathy Sesnick, the nun who was a teacher who was trying to expose child abuse in the Catholic Church in her area. Right. And she was murdered for it. And it was covered up, and many people came forward. It's all proven. Many women came forward saying they were abused by priests there in the school, and it was embroiled with murder, and it was twists and turny. Of course, it was.
Yeah.
However, it is grounded in that they approached it wasn't Netflix went, oh, this is a good idea. These people had been researching this since the 60s, since the 60s, 70s. So, they had so many years of research. So, it was a really, really, really difficult documentary to watch. I wouldn't say it was entertaining. You know what I mean? It's in a completely different realm to Tiger King. It was very dark. It was very disturbing, but it was very real. So I hope that they can approach that the same way. But
as someone who I love documentaries, that's probably why it winds me up. I think you can tell when I first turned on Tiger King and Making a Murderer, you watch the first episode and it's preaching at you. It wants you to believe a narrative. It wants you to, it wants almost everyone to come away from it feeling the same way.
Yeah.
Here's this guy, he's innocent. Here's this guy, they're, mysterious and possibly involved some way. Here's this person. And, as someone who loves documentaries, it's very, it's just, it's underhand to present things in a way that make it seem real. I'm trying to think what my favorite documentaries would be. I really liked The Bridge, which was, again, horrific. Have you seen The Bridge?
No, I haven't. No.
Very underhand documentary making as well, actually. It was they filmed the Golden Gate Bridge for a year, the most frequented suicide spot, I think, in the world. And they put a camera on the bank and filmed all the suicides, and then looked into their lives and presented them with the family and spoke to the families, but didn't tell them they had footage of the suicides. Very, very horrific documentary, but very interesting, and captures some kind of, it's the beauty and the horror of being human. Some people being saved, being talked down, some people going, it's a very hard documentary to watch, but very interesting as well.
Well, there's a couple to check out there: The Bridge, The Keepers, but maybe stay away from the more sensationalist, narrative-driven documentaries.
There is that one about is it they're twins or they're brothers or something, and this crazy coincidence. What is it called?
There is one about the brothers who he they were abused, and the older brother grew up not remembering, so the other brother kept it from him until the brother found out, and then it all unravelled.
Oh, that's
it's another very deep, very powerful documentary. But there's loads. I mean, the Amanda Knox one. There's that Lady Gaga one's on there, 5'2". What Happened, Miss Simone, about Nina Simone. That's good. They've just done the Epstein one, Filthy Rich.
Yes.
A lot of information, but
this is a documentary I've been recommended. It's called Three Identical Strangers.
Okay.
And it's something. It's billed as the most amazing, incredible, remarkable, true story ever told. Is the poster,
Wow.
and it's something to do with these three guys who I think were separated and then come back, or something.
Okay.
It's this crazy story, true story about these three, I think, brothers. So that I might watch that next, but apparently that's a very good one.
Okay, picture a documentary. Three identical brothers. They work in McDonald's. One of them goes through the drive-through. He sees his identical brother. They end up franchising a McDonald's. It's a great, great story.
It's a great story. One of them it turns out one had a Wimpy, one had a McDonald's, one had a burger.
Oh, family dilemma.
Yeah, they didn't know.
That's manufactured though. That was manufactured for the series.
Was it?
Yeah.
They had Wimpy on. Yeah, there was a little Wimpy in the bottom corner, just down here. Little Wimpy. So that's mine. That's mine.
Good, powerful. All right, well, I'll move on. We're 1 hour 11 in, just to let you know.
Okay. You're going to do something a little bit different, which I'm really looking forward to.
Which hopefully will work. I shall do that momentarily. I'm going to share my screen to the nation, because my point 2 is the majority of modern movie posters are rubbish. They suck eggs.
Eggs?
Yes, eggs. Now, what's the point? Well, from a design perspective, I'm coming at this initially. Posters do not make me want to see movies these days. They often have no point to them at all, very little artistic merit. In a then and now type comparison, industry and marketing has changed, of course. Before, posters needed to draw you in for lack of TV, radio, etc. They were the biggest marketing tool, apart from interviews with actors and things, which didn't always happen either. You might get the odd radio ad or interview, and you'd get posters. You'd see a poster, you'd go, oh my goodness, that looks romantic, that looks scary, that looks great. They're very beautifully hand-drawn, often a still from the film itself, so you can get an idea of, wow, what else happens in this. Some headshots of the actors, the names, that's kind of how it used to be. Now, nowadays, posters are secondary, because when have you seen a movie based on a poster? I mean, you've got your phone, you've got your internet, you've got your iPods, you've got your tablets. Poster on a little phone don't mean anything. You know what I mean? You're flicking past them, same as the Rotten Tomatoes thing. You get movie posters dotted around on billboards, you get the odd one outside, shops and bus stops and things. The main time you see film posters is outside cinemas, to be honest.
Inside cinemas.
When you've decided what you want to see. What does a poster have to do? Well, it has to promise something, doesn't it? It has to be eye-catching, it has to be enticing, it has to tell you something about the movie you're going to see. And I shall pose a question to you at this point. When's the last time you've seen a poster that has made you want to go and see a movie?
Well, it's a good question.
I don't know. I just don't. I don't have one.
There's movies that I have maybe already wanted to see or already would have seen
that have
had good posters.
Yeah.
But have I seen a new poster and gone,
No.
Was there a good one for maybe the It sequel? But again, no, the reboot. But then
was it just the balloon, wasn't it? Or
yes, I think it was just the balloon. That was cool.
Yeah, it was fine. It does what it says on the tin. The thing is, it's modern trends. It's the modern trends. A few examples of modern trends of poster design. Just the character's head, looking into a distance.
A lot of them are they're like the same template, aren't they?
Yeah, this is exactly what we're going into.
They have
This is exactly what we're going into. You get characters.
Yeah.
Everyone, sometimes far too busy. Everyone's in the poster. Everyone in the film's in the poster.
Yeah.
Half a face, extreme close up.
Yeah.
Get that in Avatar, Reverend. They're all there.
That one's really common.
there are lists and lists on Reddit and other platforms of templates for movie posters. All of these posters are exactly alike. Person stands with a blank look on their face with the name of the film above them. What does that tell you about a film? Oh, it's Mark Wahlberg standing there. It doesn't tell you anything. It doesn't tell you anything about film. Sometimes you just get a random quote on there, no context. She sold her soul, but what remains was toxic. What? They're like, she sold her soul. Rubbish. Christmas movies, just a heterosexual couple with a red and green jumper on.
Yeah.
That's all you need. It's a Christmas movie.
All you need.
Why? Why is the question? Well, artists follow a template because they're too lazy or they're too rushed to spend any real time on it because, of course, why would you spend time, thousands of pounds, millions of pounds marketing when people don't care about posters anymore? You don't need to. You've got film trailers, you've got games, you've got ads, you've got sponsorship. You don't need posters anymore. Poster is there really just because it has to be at this point. Big culprits, Photoshop. You know, everything's pristine. There's a sheen to posters now. Some posters look like a showcase for the VFX.
Yeah.
They're like, look, we've got a massive volcano. It's like, why are you doing it? I mean, the MCU posters are terrible for this.
Yes.
Avengers, everyone's on it.
They're so formulaic.
Everyone's on it. If I'm going to see an Avengers film, it's got the Avengers in it. I know that. They put every single one, and they're not looking in the same direction. All looking in different directions. Thoughts like this. What's he doing? Oh, a couple of meteors coming down as well. Absolute rubbish. Now, a lot of movies, the marketing budget does not go into posters. No real proper training or understanding of physics and movement. You know, things like, I shall show you a few in a minute. Tomb Raider poster. Her neck's completely out of line with what a human neck should do. The Ready Player One poster, his leg's too long. Yeah. The composition is terrible. It's terrible design. There's no grounding in design of physics and human biology, which I just don't understand because you used to be able to, you have to draw it so you know how the human body works and anatomy. Yeah. Apparently that doesn't happen now. It's aesthetics over anatomy.
The Lara Croft one is quite well known, isn't it? That's
yeah. The composition's just terrible. I mean, X-Men First Class is a terrible example of a poster. It's like a shadow, and then it has a blown-up face on the shadow.
Like the other side, like there, isn't it? And it's like,
what does it tell you? It doesn't tell you anything. Now, I'm going to read a little quick Reddit thread, and then I'm going to give you some visual examples of some good and bad posters.
All right.
Okay. Many threads. We always go to Reddit because Reddit is one of the best sources of independent information, in my opinion.
So good.
Someone who's a designer, again, I couldn't find their name, but I'll paraphrase it. But basically, as a person who works in the field of design, they had a take on the question which was posed, which was, why do movie posters suck these days? And to paraphrase, it's much easier to direct and micromanage a Photoshop artist these days than it is a illustrator, because you're manipulating photos as opposed to paint or ink. So if the art director wants to see an actor's head 10% bigger or an actor replaced, that's another day's work for a physical artist. Yeah. You can do that in 2 minutes on Photoshop. See the difference. Technology, again, has destroyed natural artistic ability and replaced it with quick fire kind of, decision making. A digital artist can swap out a head in a matter of seconds and give you 10 variations. An artist just can't do that. It's flexibility and like direct control of digital posters, basically. They're not going to trust an artist to do it. Now, some people do. There's a guy who pasted, a guy called Drew Struzan, who painted the Back to the Future posters. He talks about, he wrote a whole book about why he left the industry. He was called upon, Lucasfilm often used him for things. Right. Because they were targeting that particular fan base that loved those kind of posters. I mean, the Back to the Future poster, everyone has a Back to the Future poster.
Amazing.
But he did his last two big jobs, which just sucked the life out of him. One of them being Indiana Jones in the Crystal Skull, and one of the Hellboy movies, because the marketing people were smashing him over his head, expecting the kind of control that they get when working with a Photoshop artist, and he couldn't give them that. So he was forced to hire a Photoshop artist to then translate what he was drawing onto Photoshop. You know what I mean? That's just one example. They want hundreds of composition sketches for Indiana Jones at any one time.
Yeah.
It's only possible with digital tools, So Drew, who didn't use Photoshop, had to resort to teaming up with someone that did, That's just one example. There is a back and forth on the flexibility of digital art. Is it good? Is it bad? But, and he retired after that. I think he did help do one of the latest Star Wars posters, actually. But like, this is one example of a traditional artist that was bullied out, pushed out of the industry in favour of quick-fire decision-making. You know, that's what it is. It's the same with Rotten Tomatoes. It's the same with all these things we've said about music before. It's this quick-fire decision-making that stamps out any real, true creative, identity, basically.
Yeah.
I'll give you a couple of bad examples of posters. I'm now going to attempt to share my screen live on Rock and Roll Up podcast.
Give it a go. And if this works, you will see probably more visual media that we're going to use. We might do a tier list. We might do,
Well, I've clicked the button and it says host disabled attendee screen sharing. So I won't be sharing my screen.
What?
Yeah, it does say that live.
Okay, hold on.
You keep fiddling. I will give some examples.
There you go. You can now.
I can now. Hey.
Hey.
Right, I'm going to click that and I'm going to click share. Then I'm going to go on 30 worst movie posters ever. Can you see the screen, Kenny Beveridge?
Yes, sir.
Now, I've not gone for old B movie posters. I've gone for modern movie art. Particular link that I found, 30 worst movie posters ever on discount displays. Number 1, Arrival. So this is a prominent feature in Shanghai, this tower. The movie's set in Hong Kong. But not sure what's happened there. Just no forethought at all. You know.
Yeah.
What I mean?
Also, that doesn't happen in the film, does it? I don't think at all.
I mean, that looks terrible anyway. It's like a giant mini eggs on the screen.
Yeah, that's rubbish.
Awful. Personal favourite that I've mentioned already. Ready Player One. There, just normal shot. Ready? Watch the leg. Oh, it's still going.
What? Oh my God! What the hell? Where's his knee?
Yeah, don't understand that one.
That's hilarious. And again, such a massive film.
Oh yeah, huge. I've flicked through a few. That one, it says it displays the female not knowing how to hold a gun. It's silly things like that. Personal favourite, Thor: Dark World. I mean, look how busy it is. Oh, evil faces, statues, weapons.
Oh, there's so much.
Meteors. Oh, it's still going.
Where's Thor looking?
He's over there. What are they looking at? There's so many. I'll do a quick. That's terrifying. Tim Allen is Shaggy Dog.
That is awful. That.
Yeah, I mean,
look at the eyes on that. That's awful.
Look at the eyes on that. Oh, that is. I mean, that is Tim Allen's eyes. You can see. Bad. What's a good one? The Heat. Look at Melissa McCarthy's face on that. Look how airbrushed her face is on that.
Oh my God.
It's just quick as. I mean, you can see the whole lighting, the whole composition is wrong. You can see it.
Yeah.
And yet these things get through. There's a lack of care. There's so many. Zookeeper. I mean, it's just endless, right? Gulliver's Travels. They've removed his teeth.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's endless. The Tomb Raider neck one. Look at her neck there.
Oh my Lord.
Look at that. Human neck can't move like that. They give a little write-up above it to explain kind of what's wrong with it, That's just busy, full of Photoshop people. It's endless, you know what I mean? I could flick down all day and see that gun doesn't have a trigger on it. It's just basic. These are movies that are like less than 10 years old and people just can't. There's just no understanding. They've either been rushed or they've just got no understanding of how things work. Now you compare that to, say, some much better movie posters. There's a 50 best movie posters on Empire. I'm going to go for a few individuals very quickly. Great movie posters for me. Cabin in the Woods. Let me move that. It's going to be slightly smaller. It's got the layers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The inversion. It says everything you need to know about the film. And that's what posters should do. And then the tagline just reinforces it. You think you know the story.
Yeah.
Perfect. Beautiful. Looks great. An unusual shape. Looks disturbing. Looks twisted. That's everything that the film is. It's brilliant.
What a film as well. Amazing film. Great twists. Another good one, End of the Tour, Jason Segel, Jesse Eisenberg movie. Oh.
So you can see the tape has unreeled and it's made their faces with the tape.
That is cool.
That is really cool. And it's
inventive.
Great. It's inventive, it's simplistic, it's on a beautiful white background, you don't need to see nothing. But it's clever. They've taken the plot, the subject matter, and they've made it into art. Another personal favourite of mine, I really liked the Green Book movie poster because I love the colour. I think the colour's great.
It is very good.
There's everything you need to know. It's race relations. It's a white man driving a black man. That's what the film's about.
Mm.
You don't need to know
really
anything.
is nice. The blue, and then how the sky fades back into the blue is lovely.
Exactly.
And Viggo Mortensen's face is pretty good in that. That's a fantastic
real attitude. What a film! What a film! Flew under the radar somewhat. Like
Love that film.
And then you compare it to Marvel movie posters. Oh,
What is it?
Look at that! Oh, it's dirty. Oh, it's everything. It's all got everything in it. It gives you a headache. Look at the difference between that and that.
Yeah.
Different subject matter, but it's overcomplication. There's another list. We won't go through all of them. The 50 best. Another favourite of mine that I like is Little Miss Sunshine.
Yeah, I love that.
Beautiful colour, you know what I mean? It says everything you need to see about the adventure, the craziness that is that film. Beautiful film, great film. It just says everything. It just says everything you need it to say. And that's exactly what posters should do. You know what I mean? That's all they should do.
What else is on the best? Graduate?
Graduate, yeah, that's a good one. You know, you can see that it's the sexualization and what he shouldn't want. There's got Mean Streets, Lord of War.
Oh, that's good.
Bullets, yeah.
Quite good.
We'll flick for a few. What's a good one that I liked? Fear and Loathing is good. The Thing is a classic horror poster. You often get a great horror poster.
Horror posters are good, yeah.
Because it says it's the subject matter. This is what the film's about, and that's okay. A film like Bohemian Rhapsody or Rocket Man did that because it's Elton John on one, Freddie on the other. It's fine because you know what it's about. It's about Freddie. It's about Elton. Yeah. That's fine. Doesn't really move you, but it's fine. Everyone often raves about The Social Network.
Yes.
Don't get to 500 million friends without making a few enemies. Great. I don't personally like the font over the face, but there's what the film is, you know.
What have we got? Let's get right down to the bottom. What are they rating? Sort of like top 10.
Well, Jaws is number one. Look,
of course, the perfect movie poster. I think
Jaws is number one. Is a shark about to eat someone? That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
Indiana Jones, classic. You know, it's busy, but it's artistic. You know what I mean? It's got everything there. It's like a beautiful mural almost, which ties into the whole archaeology aspect of Indiana Jones. Star Wars, of course, you know, look at that. I mean, the passion, you know, everything. So I actually really like, I mean, Alien, Jurassic Park, and the Silence of the Lambs, you know.
Silence of the Lambs is good.
That people buy. Oh yeah, American Beauty is
brilliant.
The seduction, you know what I mean? It says everything. It says everything about these movies. Back to the Future, you know, it's all there. Aeroplane, Pulp Fiction, one of your favourites, you know.
I love
it's
that.
endless. You know, I really like, I don't know if it's on this list, but the Phantom Menace poster, because, Truman Show's a great one with the screens, look.
Oh, yeah.
Screen in his face. The Phantom Menace one is Anakin, and then his shadow is Darth Vader. Brilliant.
Pull that up. I want to see that.
I thought that was on this list. Is it not? There it is.
Let's have a look.
Look at that.
Oh.
Isn't that beautiful?
What's the bottom? It says the title, does it?
Just says the title.
Oh, that's lovely.
Look at that. What they've done is over half the poster is just the sand. See what I mean? That is exactly how you do it. Now, that's a good few examples. Number one, Jaws. I shall stop sharing my screen. Let's hopefully this works. We're back to normal.
We're back.
Just a few examples. At the end of the day, when do you see people that have modern posters on their wall? It's all Clockwork Orange, Exorcist, Star Wars, you know, all those kind of things, American Beauty.
Yeah.
You get the golden age of Hollywood examples, your James Bonds, your sex, your guns, your explosions, Gone with the Wind, you know, which, like we said, it's normally beautifully painted or drawn headshots or stills from the movie, put together line work, you know, shading, detail, simplicity, like in Phantom Menace. Even Citizen Kane, Rebel Without a Cause, Breakfast at Tiffany's, they're all beautifully artistic and subtle when they introduce characters and story, but with class and sophistication and intrigue. I want to know more. About what's going on.
Yeah.
When you see the Avengers poster, you think, I've done too much.
When I look at the Avengers poster, I feel like I've seen the film. There's so much information, and it's not intriguing me. It's like, oh yeah, I know that. Whereas when I see, one of my favorites is The Usual Suspects.
All the lineup,
lineup, and you think, here's the characters, the usual suspects.
Yep.
You need to know more about who, which one is it, which one's, it opens up you've seen it, you're prepared for what you're about to see, but you're thinking about what might take place at the same time. And like, say, with the Phantom Menace, you're thinking, how do we get from that child to that child?
Exactly.
It's the journey.
It's the journey, and that's all it is. By the way, obviously, for people that are just listening to this, you might want to Google the posters.
I forgot that.
You won't really understand it. Empire's 50 best movie posters ever, and Discount Display's 30 worst movie posters ever. Then I looked at Cabin in the Woods, End of the Tour, Green Book, and just general Marvel movie posters.
Yeah. If you want to see a bad Marvel movie poster, just Google Marvel movie posters.
Yeah, basically. There's just a lack of class. All I want is the soul put back into movie posters. There's some great ones. I just want it to represent the movie. I don't want it to be too busy, and I want it to physically make sense as human beings make sense. You know what I mean? Not to have a wacky anatomy that doesn't make sense. I just want a bit more, class in there, a bit more care, and that's what you want.
That Ready Player One. Oh my!
I mean, it's embarrassing. Yeah, it's embarrassing. You wouldn't have it up on your wall, would you?
You definitely.
If it was called Ready Player One, Big Leg, then I'd be like, oh,
big fucking leg.
Big fucking leg. Can't talk about the Mighty Boosh anymore.
Don't talk about the Mighty Boosh. Yeah. So before we move on, I'll pose a question to you. What movie posters do you have on your walls? Any good ones?
We've got two at the moment. Yeah, just only got two. We've got Carry On Henry, which is obviously one of the British films from the Carry On franchise. Obviously not in the realm of this kind of poster design, but it has Sid James as Henry VIII on it with an axe. It has a little quote at the top. A great guy with his chopper. Funny. Has all the headshots at the bottom. Everyone's dressed up in sort of medieval gear because they're about to get their heads chopped off. You can see personality on each one of the faces. It's got Hampton Court there with a raven because that's where he lives. It's all there. It's beautiful, white background, nice popping colours on the characters. That's all you need.
It's a classic looking vintage poster. That
classic looking vintage British poster. And then we've got Treasure Island.
Nice.
Which again, it's quite busy, but it's not. It's beautifully kind of spherical in the background, pirates and the ships, and it moves round towards a lot more fighting and swordplay and ropes and things happening around the right hand side. And you've got your treasure, you've got kids there, you've got all the characters on the poster. Big old pirate, at the top. I think it's Orson Welles plays the pirate. It's just all there. It looks cool, looks quirky, looks family. But again, it looks vintage, and you know what you're going to get. It's a pirate film. There's loads of pirates on it, but it's designed in a way that isn't overwhelming. If that came out today, they'd be like, I guess look at the Pirates of the Caribbean posters as an example.
Yeah.
I think the initial ones were probably okay for that, but yes, it's just a bit of art, hand drawn. That's why I like hand drawn animation. I like a bit of soul, a bit of care.
Nice.
And, when anything looks too easy, it puts me off a little bit.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I've got the first three, the original Star Wars trilogy on canvas, one next to each other, and then I've got a lot of artist kind of interpretations. So I've got one Django one. I've got a Reservoir Dogs one. I do have the poster for the Blues Brothers on a like a small steel poster, which is cool. But yeah, I love film posters. Absolutely love them. I'd have the whole place covered in them.
Yeah, I know. Well, you almost do.
When I was,
I've got to load that up. Yeah.
Yeah, when I was younger, I used to. There was the little theatre in Bath used to every now and then have they used to get all their posters and just leave them outside in a cardboard box, and you could just rummage through and grab them. So I got loads of posters from them, really, really nice ones
I
as
didn't
well.
know they did that. That's great.
Yeah, maybe they still do it. I'm not sure. This was a good 10 or so years ago.
Well, thinking about it, I've got those few that we got at Christmas, didn't we, in Kingston? You know, I've got like the Toy Story one artist rendering of the Toy Story sheet music and that, but it's not so much a film poster as it is, like you said, an artistic interpretation.
Yeah. So I've got a few of those, and I've got a T-shirt with a Kill Bill poster on as well.
Yes, that's right.
Yes, movie posters, forgotten art, maybe.
They're forgotten art. You know, if people want some vintage ones, eBay one sheet posters. You'll find
one sheet.
One sheet does plenty. You'll find thousands and thousands and thousands on there. Once you start, you can't stop.
What's that one? So is that the seller? Is it one sheet posters?
That's that's what you type in. There's multiple sellers.
Right.
Just type in one sheet posters,
Nice.
and that's the standard American and UK size are essentially the same for a one sheet, which is a cinema poster. You'd have to buy a special clip frame for it, and you'll find plenty of them.
Lovely.
Really good experiment. I mean, you know, you're looking at Godfather, £1,000, £2,000. You know, for an original poster. You know, you're talking big money. Ironically, posters hold their value. When they're good, they hold their value. Yeah.
When they're iconic, when they become part of pop culture, just like us. Pop culture comedy. I don't know if you probably can't hear it, but there's a very large thunderstorm going on. So that's exciting for later.
It's 16:48 here in the UK. Now, is that an issue for you?
It'll be fine.
Yeah. Do you want to? How quick's your next point?
I can get through it. How many more have you got? One more.
One. And my last point is super short. So.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna go for it. My third and final point is that constantly remaking films is good, despite all of the evidence to the contrary.
Okay, go on.
So Hollywood is in love with remaking films. I think anyone who has watched any film or been to the cinema and seen trailers or anything over the last, I don't know, maybe it's always been the case, but it seems to be even more now.
It has always been the case, but it is more now. Yeah.
Remaking films has become this kind of currency in Hollywood. And a lot of people argue that it shows a lack of new ideas and a lack of originality, which is probably true. However, I still think it's a good idea. Now, there are terrible remakes and reboots, of which I've got some here. So Ghostbusters we talked about earlier, and I've got maybe the reason for why that they were bad. So Ghostbusters, probably there was an identity politics issue there. Star Wars, the third trilogy as well. Charlie's Angels, similar. But then you've got Total Recall, Wicker Man, The Mummy, which we mentioned earlier, Power Rangers, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They were just rubbish films.
Yeah.
Apart from The Mummy, which maybe was too soon. So
too soon.
I think you've got these films. There's multiple reasons why remakes are failing. However, one thing that seems to be that seems to work when it comes to remakes is doing one that is much older. So The Thing, which we saw the poster for,
was a remake.
Was a remake from 1951. Cape Fear was a remake. Ocean's 11, 1960. Scarface, I didn't know until I was looking into this.
1930s, wasn't it? Yeah,
32. Yeah. Obviously, the Casino Royale was a remake of the 67 film.
The third remake. There was another remake as well.
Yeah, there was. Yeah. True Grit, which people loved, was 69. Halloween was 79. I thought it was all right. So it seems to be that when you remake films that are older, that there's been decades of time between, that you can manage to make films and oh crikey, that is some loud thunder. you can make them, and they seem to be better when it's been longer. The other way in which remakes seem to work better or turn out better is if they're made from foreign into English language. So the US Ring was a pretty good horror film, all considering. In the early 2000s, there was a lot of rubbish. Remake of a Japanese horror. One of my favorite top 5 films of all time, The Departed, remake of Internal Affair.
Yeah, it's a movie set in Hong Kong.
2002. And then another great film, Insomnia, with Al Pacino and Robin Williams, a remake of a 97 Norwegian film. So remakes can work, but it seems to be that there are some rules to abide by. So what it looks like ruins remakes is changing a film to suit identity politics, which has been a theme of our episode, seems to ruin a film. Cashing in on name value without respecting the original property also seems to ruin a remake. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Power Rangers, I thought they were both absolutely awful. And 2 franchises that I really loved as a child. You could be cashing in on nostalgia, and didn't seem to go well. And the other one is cashing in on a name value that just no one wants to see for whatever reason. Maybe The Mummy. It's too recent.
Nobody needed another Mummy.
No.
You needed one Mummy, and you go, oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That'll do.
Yeah. And then the fourth way that it, to me, it seems as though remakes can be ruined is remaking sacrilege films. So protected films that are so beloved that you couldn't avoid a negative reaction. So one would be probably Ghostbusters, so beloved that remaking it was always going to cause a problem. Then adding them all female and making it about women's empowerment.
Thunder and lightning, very, very frightening me.
Seemed to have a really big negative impact upon the film. So any other examples of sacrilege films? I was thinking maybe E.T. If you tried to remake E.T., automatically...
It's all the classics. It's all the classics, yeah. E.T. What would be a terrible movie to remake? I like Harry Potter's. I know, more recent. If they decided to reboot Harry Potter, if they decided to reboot like Twilight or something like that. I love kind of franchises. I think people would be like, "What are you doing?" So I think if people tried to do Wolverine without Hugh Jackman, I don't think that would work.
Back to the Future would be one maybe where they would just say, it's too, and things like maybe Home Alone. Films that the way I saw when I was doing the research for this, it was kind of like there's those songs that you feel like never should be covered, and it's in a similar vein to there are films that should never be remade.
Yeah, I do think they don't lose their intrinsic value when they're remade, but to me it seems like a business decision. Like you said, it seems like a shrewd business decision, cashing in, and then when they cash in on a popular IP and inject politics into it, it's lazy. It's trying to. Some people say, well, it reintroduces people to something that was great. Well, yeah, just show your kid the old film. You know what I mean? Yeah. Show your kid the old film. Then it ain't that hard to get a copy of an old James Bond film. Yeah, it ain't that hard to get an old copy of whatever else. So I think that argument falls down a little bit with but the other film still exist. To just show them the better one. Yeah. The thing that frustrates me with remakes, I get it, they're fine. There's some great remakes, like we said. Even Wizard of Oz was remade like 3 times before they even made Wizard of Oz, I think. Yeah. The thing that frustrates me is the live action. It's the live action aspect. We've seen with Lion King, we've seen with Dumbo, bam, bam, bam. They are sacrilegious films because they're taking what we love and beloved Disney, again, with beautiful animation and beautiful storytelling. Some of it will be a bit weird. And then they're making it a 3-hour epic with CGI everywhere and taking the initial spark of an idea and just pissing it down the drain. And it just frustrates me. Yeah. Jungle Book was good. Not all live action Disney films are bad, but no. I think The Lion King was a big one where a lot of people turned their back on remakes and went, "Oh, this is why have you even done it?" Like
I found it I found it unwatchable. Really, the Lion King remake. I hated
It's
it.
a cheap cash grab. As soon as it's a cheap cash grab, you know, they've taken a popular IP, chucked Beyonce in it, and went great. You know, it looks great. Well, cool, but so's the other one.
Yeah, I mean that is one that that kind of comes into that kind of sacrilege area of kind of like the four reasons why I don't like remakes. That would be go into that one. It's the original Lion King was just so good that it didn't need to be and probably shouldn't have been remade.
This is the thing. Why muddy the waters? Why does it impact the original piece of art if there are 3 other iterations of it? I don't know. Does it dilute it? I don't know. There's an argument to be had. I wouldn't say it does, but if everyone goes for the most recent one and not the older one, then I think it starts to have an adverse effect on the intellectual property. But
yeah,
you know, some things just shouldn't ever be remade, like you said.
But when I was researching this, I think the thing that I came to, the main conclusion I came to at the end is that Hollywood remakes films a lot, but that isn't actually the problem. The problem is what we said earlier. Hollywood makes a lot of shit.
Yeah.
And cashes in and half-heartedly goes for films like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or something similar to, say, Total Recall. I mean, it was just, you could reboot it if you wanted, I suppose, but it was shit. Stop making bad films, and
this is the thing.
Films will stop bombing, because films, they seem to be bombing more and more.
Well, yeah, nobody demanded a new Charlie's Angels, and then when it came out, they went, because you bloody blokes don't want to see it.
Yeah.
Women didn't see it either. Nobody saw it.
No one wanted.
Nobody saw it.
No one was like, oh, do you know what we bloody need? Charlie's Angels.
You know what I mean? Often it's being there's a lot of excuses for films bombing now, and I think the remake paradox is one of them. Oh, well, it's just because blokes, or just because women, they like the first one, or yeah, well, you're just bombing it because it's no. If you weren't so lazy and actually came up with the original idea, or came up with a great idea for remake, rebuilding a franchise from the ground up in a great way, then by all means do it. You know, like you said, some remakes have engraved themselves in popular culture. Casino Royale, Scarface, The Thing, The Fly, they're all remakes.
The Fly is one as well, yeah.
They're like the better version.
Yeah,
you know?
Oh yeah.
It can totally work. But nowadays, like you said, seems a bit cash grabby, and when they've injected some politics into the mix, puts me off.
I think it needs to be at least 20 years.
Yeah,
maybe a bit more.
There should be a time on it. Yeah,
maybe a bit more.
There should be an embargo. There should be you're not allowed to. Well, there are some clauses. You're not allowed to remake this until so and so. It does exist, but
thing is, if it was 20 years. That would mean you could remake films this year from 2000. That seems too soon. So maybe it should be
go so far as like 50 years or 40 years, 30 years.
I think between 30 and 40, I would say possibly, because I could probably go for films like now. They could reboot films from the 80s.
Yeah.
For this decade, you could do the 80s if you wanted, because I mean, stories have been retold for generations, for millennia.
Of course.
Stories have they pass from generation to generation, but it shouldn't be like half generation to generation.
No, like I think a generation isn't 5 years. I think the funny thing is a lot of 80s IPs. I mean, Terminator, the latest Terminator is almost a rebrand, but it is still like the 5th one.
Yeah.
Well, the 4th one. No, it's technically the 5th, isn't it? Because of the other one.
I don't even know now. It might be the 6th.
It's like a rebrand, but it's not, because it's still under the umbrella. So that's a weird middle ground where they've gone, well, we don't want to step away from the expanded universe, but we want to do something else. And that's still a little bit of an issue in that, like we've said with games, Assassin's Creed, whatever, make a new one.
Yeah.
Or keep within the sphere of what the original one was. Don't kind of tread the line between both and, it's Terminator, but it's not really anything to do with Terminator.
But again, sometimes that works. Is it just a good film is a good film? Because I'm thinking the Halloween franchise has disregarded everything after Halloween 1 or Halloween 2 and come back as basically a sequel to the first film and was brilliant. So it's actually, in some ways, it works to maybe you take the original, you disregard all the crap sequels and then do again, or you do a full reboot. I think when it comes to people saying, "Oh, remakes are rubbish. They should make more original films," I'm more interested in make better films, and if it's a remake or not, it wouldn't matter.
Make better films
in most circumstances.
Kenny Beveridge, make better films. All right, make better posters for films.
Better.
Make better films.
Yeah.
Don't make better decisions. Not necessarily go for Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
And
don't censor anything apart from the bad film.
Anything. We haven't seen anything controversial.
Like, for example, Resident Evil. Here's the best example. They've done like 8 films. They finished like 2 years ago. They were getting progressively more shit, and now they're rebooting the whole franchise again from the beginning. What? How? It was like the last one was 2 years ago.
Because the demand is there. You don't understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
All the director's family will be there. They'll watch it.
There's another one. Stop going to see rubbish films, and they'll stop making them. There you go.
That is happening. That is happening slowly. But with streaming, they can afford to chuck rubbish films on Netflix. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Basically, we wish we were born post-World War II, so we'd have lived through the 50s, 60s, 70s. I'd be dead by 2000. I'd have been like, see you in a bit. I'm out of it. Millennium Go, or jump off that.
I'd like to see maybe Return of the King, and then finish me off.
Well, yeah, so 2000, what? So 2003.
Yeah,
2000.
That'd be fine. That'd be fine.
Day that. In the DeLorean, go and do that, mate.
This. Oh, we're back. Oh, it's unstable. The internet's unstable.
My last point, the best point till last. Karaoke is rubbish unless the person singing is good. Karaoke sucks. In fact, even if you're good, it sucks. Don't go to bars and sing songs. Be in a band. Write songs. Create. Don't go with a hen party and sing Tina Turner. I mean, someone's doing 6 string. Fuck off. Fuck off. Even though I sung that beautifully there. You know, it'd be too good, if anything.
If anything.
Don't do it. I've done karaoke once or twice. I sung "We Are the Champions." I bowed out then. You know what I mean?
As a champion.
I bowed out as a champion. Thank you. I've won karaoke. Want to sing?
What we've not won is with this internet. It's just died.
Recording.
Still recording.
Yeah.
Are we back?
I'm good. I'm good.
Okay, we're back. Mine is very unstable. I agree with karaoke. I find it very, very annoying.
Yeah.
And like you said, even if you're good, but fuck off. Why?
I don't understand the point of it. I love singing. You know, you got a great voice. We love being in bands. I don't understand. I don't understand karaoke. I don't understand it. Let's all go out and sing badly. Okay. It's like me going, do you want to go and play a game of tennis? You're rubbish at tennis. Go on. Let's have a game. Let's get everyone here to watch you play tennis badly. I don't do that.
Everyone watch me. I'm going to play tennis now. You're rubbish at tennis.
Yeah.
Watch me.
I don't get it. I don't understand it.
Karaoke annoys me.
Yeah, I think it comes from being creatives. We're pessimistic. We've been around so many good musicians and good things. I just enjoy seeing bands and theatre and writers and creators. I just think when someone gets up and sings a song, I think, well, I'm out. I'm off now. I'm done. You've ruined the night.
If it's rubbish, I don't want to hear it. And if it's good, I think you're a wanker. Why are you up there?
Show off. Show off.
Yeah.
If you're great and sing karaoke every Friday, you're a loser. Yeah. Do something with your talent, please.
Yeah. Do anything, but don't make me listen to you no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're the best. Come on, Barbara, get up here. Come on, Babs.
The only way that
have you got Michael Bublé? Have you got Michael Bublé?
Have you got a boob? Have you got a boob?
You got Bublé. I love Bublé.
Do that one. Do that one. Do that one.
That's funny. Do Amarillo. That's funny. Prosecco in my life.
Yeah, I find it. The only time that I think it would be acceptable is if, let's say, it's a family party. Everyone knows each other. Maybe then it's fun. Maybe.
It's sort of embarrassing in front of family, though, isn't it? Maybe not.
Yeah, but maybe if you're all having go on, bloody get up, you do a great.
But then the pressure's on, isn't it? Well, I've got to be good now. The pressure's on.
You don't.
Maybe we're putting the pressure on ourselves. Maybe it's our own insecurity. That's what it is.
Yeah, love me, please. But then when you love me, I think I was only doing karaoke. I'm worthless.
Yeah. Well, if you like that, you should actually watch me do something I like. Yeah, strange one.
Is your dislike of karaoke more to do with your own inner worry about your singing voice?
Probably.
Yeah.
But then I don't like listening to it. It's not that I don't like doing it, which I also don't like, but I don't like listening to other people do it. So
no, I hate it.
Maybe it's that. I don't know. Well, do you want to do karaoke tonight?
I'm going out in a sec. I'm doing
In the Storm.
It's a song about islands in the storm. Something in the storm. What's it called?
Eye of the Storm. Riders on the Storm.
Riders on the Storm. I'm doing, and then I'm gonna do Rain on Me when Lean on Me in the rain, singing in the rain, and then I'm going to do Thunder, a song from the band Thunder.
A song from Thunder, yeah.
And I'm going to do the whole of Ride to Lightning by Metallica.
Okay, actually sounds pretty good set list.
It's not bad, yeah.
We should do Rock and Roll Up karaoke. Just by the way, if you do want us to host a karaoke party, we will do that. Rock and Roll Up podcast at gmail.com.
When it comes to being paid, I will do karaoke.
You know, if I was with you and we could be the best in the room, I'd love karaoke.
Yeah.
It'd be my favourite.
But you'd be okay. I was just going to do a couple 5 minutes, if that's all right. Just material.
Oh yeah.
What you want is an open mic night more than a karaoke.
Probably.
Yeah, but no, I agree. I hate karaoke as well. Kill it.
Yeah. Kill it dead. And also, you can't spell it, which means it's terrible. Is there an O in it? Is there an A in it? Is there a U in it? We don't know.
I wasn't going to tell anyone I couldn't. That was just between us, I thought. But okay. I can't spell karaoke. Karaoke. Curry.
Oak.
How's your dinner? Curry okay.
There's a Tim Vine jokes in a restaurant. Waiter come up to me. Curry okay? He goes, well, I'm no Tina Turner, but I might give it a go later on.
Very good.
Typical Tim. Classic Tim. Anyway, don't do karaoke.
No.
His internet's unstable, so I think we should love you and leave you after 2 hours of. Oh Lord. Will we have split this by the time it's released? Quite probable, baby.
Quite probable. This is now 2 weeks worth of content. So
yeah, wow.
Get in.
Megaphone Monday's pop culture. Fini. Let us know your thoughts about censorship, about Netflix documentaries, about remakes, about Rotten Tomatoes, about karaoke. In fact, don't even speak to me about karaoke. Get out of my face.
Get out.
And about modern movie posters being rubbish. Where can they contact us, Kenny Beveridge?
People can contact us at Rock and Roll Up Podcast at gmail.com for all your karaoke bookings. They can get to us on Facebook and Instagram at Rock and Roll Up Podcast and Twitter at Rock Roll Up Pod.
If you want to listen, Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher, iTunes, YouTube, and bigheadsmedia.com, baby.
One funny thing, just to say before we end, we discovered that our podcast is on loads of other platforms we didn't know it was on.
Yes, correct. Let me read the list. Someone is illegally uploading.
I have no idea.
Podcast. Yeah, not sure what's happened there. Let me just get the list up for us before the end. We are talking. Our podcast is also available at MyTuner Radio, the live FM player app. All of our episodes are up there. That's happened.
We didn't put them there. Not a clue.
Yeah. We're also on a Himalaya, the podcast player, which slides off the tongue beautifully. Of which we have, I'll just show the screen there, 0 followers and 0 plays. So that's good. We're also on Hubhopper, but that's got all our old wrestling content on and the old write-up. Probably don't go to that one. Somehow it also has social links. I'm going to click on one right now and see what happens. Nothing happened. Well,
don't go there then.
I don't know what happened. We can talk about that more in a general episode whilst I do some digging as to how that's happened. But
yeah.
We've gone global. What can I say?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, love you and leave you, people of the world. Any final thoughts? Make better movies. That would be my final thought. Make better movies.
Better movies, and just stop karaoke.
Stop karaoke. Make better movies. Be better people.
Don't censor anything except karaoke.
Except karaoke. You know, and we like the Japanese. Great respect for the Japanese.
Yeah,
we love Japanese wrestling. We love Japanese culture. Karaoke. Ship out.
Right. Get it out. Well, I'm going to leave. What are you going to do now?
Okay.
What are you going to do? What am I going
to do now? What have I got on? Not much, actually. I've just got my boxers on and my T-shirt. I think I'll probably get some food now. And then just enjoy what it means to be alive. You know, maybe satirise some races. You know, that's what I'm into.
Greyhound races.
I see a race, I satirise it.
Horse races.
Yeah, and that. Yeah.
Don't talk to Joey Toxic.
Yeah, dead or fine.
Dead or. Yeah. Well, we bid you adieu.
Can't say that. Peace out.
Big time.
Big time.